Hello, and welcome to the Knox County Public Library's Tutor Team. My name is Mr. Frederick, and today I will be tutoring grades 4 and 5 in math. Our topic today will be comparing decimals, which means we're going to be putting them side by side to see which one is greater than, which is bigger, less than, which is smaller, or equal to, which means they are the same size. So, we are going to get started. So here we have two decimals. We have 55 hundredths of a gallon, and we have 8 tenths of a gallon. Now, you may say, well, okay, how am I going to compare which one is which? Well, when you're comparing decimals, you're going to start with the tenths. So when I start with the tenths, I have a 5, and then I have an 8. We already know that 8 is greater than 5. So remember how we talked in another video about how we have that alligator is always going to eat the bigger number? It's going to eat the 8. Now, shows 55 hundredths of a gallon, and here's 8 tenths of a gallon. It gives you a visual to be able to tell that which one is bigger. And looking at the side, we know that 8 tenths is bigger than 55 hundredths, so it is going to be greater than. So we would say this as 55 hundredths is less than 8 tenths of a gallon. Or you could also say it as 8 tenths of a gallon is greater than 55 hundredths. Going to the next one, we have 65 hundredths and we have 37 hundredths. So we have the same place value this time because we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. If I go to the first number, I have a 6 to the right of the decimal point, and here I have a 3 to the right of the decimal point. And from what I know before, 6 is greater than 3. So because 6 is greater than 3, let's look at our visual here. I can tell that the alligator is going to go this way, the greater sign. So we're going to say 65 hundredths is greater than 37 hundredths. Right. Let's look at this one. So we have, this time we're not dealing with hundredths because we go to the place value after the decimal point. One spot is tenths, then it's hundredths, then it's thousandths. So if we're looking here, we have 558 thousandths, and then we have 8 tenths. To be able to compare, you probably need to put a placeholder in there. So how many numbers are after the decimal point on the one on the left, which is 558 thousandths? 3. I only have 1 on the right, so I'm going to fill that in with 0. So that's another way to look at it. So now I have 558, and then I also have 800. Which number is bigger? Well, 800 is bigger than 558, but I'm also going to fill them up and draw it in to compare. And when I do that, and I look, 8 tenths is much greater than 558 thousandths. So, alligator always eats the bigger number. It should be like this. Let's look at the next one. I have 9 tenths and 90th hundredths. Well, remember the 0 is just a placeholder. So let's see what happens when we fill up the jars. Pretty close to full. Pretty close to full. In fact, I would say that those numbers are actually equal. I could put as many zeros behind there as possible, but they're all gonna equal the same number. I have a 9 in the tens place, a 9 in the tens place. If I added a 0, they'd be the same. So they are equal to. Let's look at this one. I have 6 tenths and 60th hundredths. If I go through and I add a 0 to make sure they're the same, it's going to equal the same amount. Doesn't matter what I put after the place value. I mean, if it's a 0, they're going to still equal the same amount in the long run because they both have 6 tenths and then everything else is 0. So they are the same. Okay, this time I have 6 tenths and 350 thousandths. So, remember I wanted to make sure that my place value was the same, so I add 2 zeros to the end down here, and I have 600, and then I have 350. Which one's bigger? 600 is going to be bigger, right? Another way to look at it is, like I said, is look at the tens place first. I have a 6 here. I have a 3 here. Which one's bigger? 6. If I put them up on the visual scale to kind of show you, there's another way to look at it. Which one's bigger? The 6 tenths. So 6 tenths is greater than 350 thousandths. So the alligator is facing this direction. Okay, same time. We're going to look at this one. We have 72 hundredths and we have 34 hundredths. We go to the decimal point. We look to the number on the right. I have a 7 and I have a 3. Based on what I know the 7 is a bigger number than 3, but I'm still going to fill those numbers in just to kind of compare. That is 72 hundredths of a gallon. That is 34 hundredths. Which one is bigger? 72 hundredths is bigger than 34 hundredths. So the alligator is going to face that direction and eat that number. Okay, 4/10 and 40 hundredths, excuse me. Remember, look to the left, to the right of the decimal point. I have a 4 and a 4. Those are equal. Go to the next number. I have a blank, and then I have a 0. But if I put a placeholder in, I'm going to add another 0. So I'm still going to have 40 and 40. So it is going to be the same. So we put a what? An equal sign. Next one, I have 61 hundredths gallons and 7/10 gallons. Go to the decimal point on both of them. If I go to the right on this one, I have a 6. If I go to the one on the right and go to the right, I have a 7. I know that 7 is greater than 6, so the one on the right, 7/10, is going to be greater than 61 hundredths. If I fill them in, they're pretty close, but 7/10 is just a little bit higher. So I know that my alligator is going to face this direction and eat this 0.7. All right, look at the quarts containers. List the quarts containers in order from greatest to least. And now this is a little trickier because you're going to be putting them in different order. Greatest means biggest, least means smallest. So we have 55 hundredths, 36 hundredths, and 7/10. Well, the first thing we need to do is make sure they all have the same place value. So on the 7, on the 0.7, I'm going to add a 0. So I have 0.70, 0.36, 0.55. Now, we always talked about to find the biggest number, you're going to go to the right of the decimal point. So I have 5, 3, and 7. Which one is bigger? Well, 7 is. So 0.7 is going to go first. Then what? I have 5 and 3 left. Well, I know that 5 is bigger than 3, and we're going from the biggest to the smallest, so 0.55 or 55 hundredths is going to go next. And then last, that leaves 0.36 or 36 hundredths. Because if I fill them up, you can kind of see the difference in how they're going to work. So 0.7, 0.55, 0.36. 7/10, 55 hundredths, 36 hundredths. That's kind of giving you a visual how we look at that number to the right of the decimal point and we go on. Let's try again. Let's try another one. Look at the quart containers. List the quart containers in order from greatest to least. So once again, we're going from biggest to smallest. We're going to look at that number to the right of the decimal point. We have a 4, we have a 5, and we have a 3. So we have a 4, a 5, and a 3. Everybody see that? So we're going to put them in greatest to least. What's the biggest number up there? That would be 0.59, because 5 is bigger than 4. And then we would be 4 is bigger than 3. So when we put them in order, we have 0.59, 0.45, which is 45 hundredths, and 0.36. So always look to the number to the right of the decimal point first. Okay, let's look at another one. Look at the quart containers. List the quart containers in order from greatest to least. It's always important to read those directions because sometimes they flip it and make you do least to greatest. So we go to the number to the right of the decimal point. So we have 0.8, 0.6, and then 0.2. So we have 862. Guess what? I'm going to fill those up. They're already in order. They're already in order from greatest to least. So we don't really need to do anything. They're already there done for you. Okay, now we're adding 4 this time. Same thing. You're going to go to the right of the decimal point. We have a 4. We have a 7. We have a 5. We have a 9. So which one's going to be biggest? Let's fill those up. That 0.9 is probably going to be the biggest one we have up there. What comes next? The biggest number now out of 7, 5, and 4, 7. Now we have 5 and 4. Which one's bigger? 5. And that leaves us with 4. So it should be 0.9, 0.74, 0.58, and 0.46. So that's order from greatest to least. Okay, let's look at another one. The first thing we do is look at the number to the right of the decimal point. We have a 9, we have an 8, we have a 7, we have a 5. And you may think, because there's 3 digits after the decimal point on 509.595 or 595 thousandths, that it's bigger. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that way. You just look to the number to the right in the tens place. So, guess what? Once again, we don't have to do anything. 9, 8, 7, 5. They're already in order from greatest to least. We don't have to change them. But we still had to make sure. So 0.9, 0.86, 0.76, and then 0.595. Because this would be the same thing as saying 90, 86, 76, 59. Okay, look at this one. Look at the containers. List the pint containers in order from greatest, or least to greatest. So we flipped it this time. This time we're going from smallest to biggest. So we're still going to look at that number. So we have 6, 8, 9, and 4. Which one of those is the smallest number? It should be 0.4. What's next? 6, 8, or 9? Which one's the smallest? We're going to fill all these up real quick so we can look. 6 is smaller than 8 and 9, so it's next. So we have 0.44. Then we have 0.65. What's next now? We have 0.86 and 0.9. Well, 8 is smaller than 9, so it's going to be next. And then finally, we have 0.9. Let's try another one. We're going to look to the right of the decimal point. We have a 5, a 7, an 8, and a 6. Which of those numbers is the smallest? 5, 7, 8, 6. We're going to fill them up so you can have a visual. Okay. 5 is smaller than any of those, so it's 0.55. What's next? I have 6, 7, 8. Well, 6 is smaller than 7 and then 8. So that should be the correct order. 0.55, 0.68, 0.74, and 0.8. Okay, we're going to try another one. Right at the decimal point, we have 5, 4, 9, and 7. So which one's the smallest number up there? Let's fill those in first. Smallest number up there is 0.45. Now, I have 5, 9, 7. Which one's the next smallest? That would be 5. Then that leaves us with 7 and 9, and I know 7 is bigger or smaller than 9, and then 9 is bigger, so it should be 0.45, 0.50, 0.7, and 0.9. Now, this is something you can practice at home. You can look at it, though. Don't forget that sometimes they're going to trick you, and they are going to put a whole number next to the decimal point, like 1.4. That changes the whole thing, because if it's got a whole number in front of it, that makes it a bigger number. So we're doing least to greatest here. I have 1.4, 0.54, 5, and 0.6. Which is my smallest number here? So I'm in like, most of the time we're going, let's look to the right of the decimal point. Well, I have 4. Well, I'd automatically think that would be first, but it has a 1 there. It's 1 and 4/10. So 0.54 would be my smallest, and then 0.6, and then 1.4, and then 5. Another one, right in order from least to greatest. So I have 0.28, 3.7, 0.4, and 8. What's my smallest number? That would be 0.28. What's next? I don't have any whole number here, so it's going to be 0.4. Then between 3.7 and 8, 3.7 is going to go next, and then 8. Okay. Well, That concludes our lesson today. I hope you have a better understanding with the visuals about how to compare decimals and go to the right of the decimal point and look at that first. If you would like to watch this video again or watch any of our other Knox County Public Library Tutor Team videos, go to YouTube and search KCPL Tutor Team. I hope to see you again next week, and have a great day.